Start with rolling out the gingerbread dough. You want to roll it out quite thin, but not too thin. So, about this thickness. Then using the templates, cut out the shapes. Bake first the walls, and then you can do the rest of the parts. Once you've baked the walls, you want to underbake them slightly, remove them and shape them right away. Then leave them to cool completely. In the meantime, you can make the other shapes. You want to also underbake the roof, and not like this, but like this with help of the parchment paper, put it in the code. Then roll out a big piece of gingerbread dough. See that the house fits in, cut out the borders a little bit and bake that. In the meantime, cut out the small pieces like the doors and the chimney. And also the terrace. Once you've baked all the parts, leave them to cool completely. Once the parts have cooled completely, start covering the base with royal icing, with white royal icing. It doesn't have to be covered completely because it can help with a paintbrush and give it a nice texture. Once it's dried a little bit, you can give some more texture so it looks a bit more like snow. Then you can start covering the roof with some red royal icing, fill the gaps and remove the leftover with some knife. Cover with one nice layer of red royal icing. Once the gap has dried, you can also color that. It's easy using a knife. While the roof is drying, you can make the chimney. Because I didn't cut the pieces like I should have, I'm cutting them now. If you don't overbake the gingerbread pieces, you can cut them once they've baked. See that the chimney fits. And then you can also start coloring the chimney parts with the red royal icing. Now I'm adding the second layer, and after that I'm adding some texture to the roof with a lot of royal icing and the use of paintbrush. Now I can attach the roof, and here you might need a helping hand or a helping finger. So attach the roof and leave that to dry. I'm also filling the parts in between so that they attach nicely, and removing the leftover again with a knife. You want to do this right away because otherwise it dries and you will not be able to remove those leftover parts. I'm leaving the roof to dry, and in the meantime I'm moving on to the walls. So you can see that I have some cracks in the walls, and I'm filling these with the royal icing. Once it's dried, it will attach nicely and it will not break. Now I'm covering with some blue royal icing the wall, and I'm making the first layer. If you want, you can leave the walls like this, but I like to add a second layer. Add the second layer only once the first layer has dried. Now leave the wall to dry, and once it's dried, you can make the windows. Take some gelatin leaves and cut out the pieces that match the windows. Attach with some royal icing. To give a nice look to the chimney, make some snow on the chimney with royal icing. The consistency has to be quite thick. Now you can make the top of the roof with some white fondant. So I'm rolling out the pieces and I'm attaching them with the help of a toothpick and some water. Once you have made this part, leave it aside to dry a little bit. It doesn't have to be completely dry once attaching to the roof. Then start rolling out some white fondant and cutting out stripes that fit your windows. You will want to cover the windows with these to give them a nicer look. Cut out the pieces that fit your windows and attach them with some royal icing. For the top of the window, I'm using a round cookie cutter to make the shape. I'm cutting out the excesses with a knife and attaching again with royal icing. I also decided to make some nice extra decoration, so I cut out some thin pieces and I'm attaching them with some water onto the fondant. You can also make the door in a similar way. If you want, you can make it a little bit different than I did. Just look up the picture of the Moomin house and look how you want to make the shape of the door. So this is the door that goes into the terrace. I'm making it like this. And then I'm also making the side door. I'm cutting out the shape and attaching it with royal icing. I didn't put the whole tutorial of how I made this door. You can see it on the picture, but you can also make it as you wish, depending on how you see the Moomin door. Then I'm adding some silver dust to the windows to give them a nice look. Now we can paint the doors. I'm using some beige brown royal icing. Once the base of the house has dried and also the walls have dried, you can construct the house. Again, if you have some gaps, fill those in with thick consistency royal icing. Remove the excess and allow to dry completely. In the meantime, you can make some nice decoration on the roof. Then attach with some royal icing the top to the roof. As you can see, it's not completely dry, so it's easier to attach. Now with some brown paint and some water, I'm making some shapes on the door. Here again you can be creative and make them as you wish. And now I'm painting the texture on the walls. So here you will have to be patient, it takes some time, but it gives a really nice look to the house. I'm using blue paint and water. Now we can also construct the terrace, attach the roof parts with the royal icing. We want to also leave this to dry completely before proceeding. And then make the base. I colored the base with some brown royal icing. Then I attached some toothpicks, and with fondant I'm making the pillars. You can make the pillars whatever shape you like. Once the roof has dried, I'm painting it also over with some red royal icing. Once the rest of the parts have dried, I'm attaching the terrace, the door, the side door. I'm giving the house a nice look with some snow on the top. Here it can be again really creative and add as much as you want. Then attach the terrace roof. Make sure the pillars are straight and add some snow. Since we haven't attached the roof with royal icing to the house, you can remove the roof and add a candle inside to give it a look like there is some light inside the house. Thank you for watching my video. Bye bye until next time.